Alright, hey, aloha guys. This is another video this week, and this video I wanted to go over the grip, how we grip the bow. I've been kind of teaching my wife lately how to shoot more, and she's been playing with the silverback tension activated release. But one of the things she was always having trouble with, and it's not just her, but a lot of other beginners as well, is the dreaded when they draw back, the string slaps them on the arm, and when it slaps them on the arm like that, archery is not fun anymore. And even for the more advanced archer, um, typically sometimes when you can't get a consistent grip, or you're not doing it right, or maybe you're kind of torquing the bow a lot, it becomes really difficult to paper tune a bow, or tune a bow, or get any consistency out of it. So this video I kind of want to go over maybe some basic principles on the grip, um, and maybe some ways that you can achieve a more consistent grip and better accuracy down the road. With the grip, there's all kinds of ways to do it, and I'm not going to say that my way is the right way, or the only way to do it. Really, the basic principle is if you can repeat it all the time, consistency is the #1 thing. So in just my experience shooting at Reading or at Vegas and things like that, you can even watch a lot of the pros. A lot of the times they'll all have different kinds of grips. There's no right way or wrong way, but the basic principle again is consistency. So as long as you can do it the same way wrong all the time, or the same way right all the time, it's going to put the arrow in the same place for you. Now there's just basic general principles that'll make it easier to repeat and make more consistent, and that's what I want to try to do today, and just make that a whole lot easier. Alright, so the #1 killer for the beginners working from the bottom up is that string slap that I talked about at the beginning of the video, when that string will come down and crack you on the side of the arm, and it makes archery not just frustrating but painful at the same time. So how we can avoid that is, a lot of that has to do with I'll try to demonstrate here how your grip angle is. So if you are somebody that crosses the the lifeline of your hand, that's that crease, that natural crease in the center of my hand, if you cross that lifeline on the grip, like see it out there, and you cross it into the grip like this, you have a very, if I took it out, very vertical grip. What happens is you're moving this forearm into the path of the string. So what you need to do is you might want to angle that out. Typically what's generally accepted is a 45-degree angle in the knuckles. So I'll just demonstrate how I naturally like to grip the bow. If I were to pick up, it would look something like this. I don't know if you guys can get that, but you see, if I were to zoom in really tight here, my lifeline is just on the edge of the grip back here. It's not crossing the grip in any fashion like that, so it's just on the edge. Now I have some friends that are hunters, and they're pretty good, pretty proficient for their shooting, but a lot of them do they do cross that lifeline. But like I said at the beginning of the video, they're very consistent in the way they do that. They do it all the time, and for the most part they shoot very well. But if you're a beginner and that string is slapping you, it's you really should look at how you're gripping the bow. Maybe the draw weight is too heavy, that you're wanting to get more hand in there to support yourself, and you got to kind of lean back and pull, and that's making it difficult. So if you can't achieve a grip, or maybe you're not crossing the lifeline, and you're beginner, and maybe the bow draw weight's heavy, you might want to lower it down and just build good fundamentals first before going up from there. About the string slap too, the one thing I didn't talk about, I said a lot of it has to do with the grip, but I wasn't entirely accurate. Some of it has to do with how you stand with your feet, a little more open or closed stance, something I can get into later. But definitely, just with my wife shooting, when she fixes her grip, she doesn't get the dreaded string slap anymore. But to cover one more thing about the lifeline crossing, when instead of having a lifeline that's outside of the grip or on the edge, when you have one that crosses, it becomes, one, I'll talk later, easy to torque the ball left or right like this. It's more difficult to torque like this, but when you grip more vertically, it is. But the second thing is when that grip sits in the center of your lifeline, there's it's kind of like balancing in the middle. Any movement side to side on your backhand, on your release hand, just for me, this is what I experience, it's kind of sitting on bone in the middle of your hand, and it almost acts like a pivot point. So if I'm building tension or pulling a little weird, the bow will have this kind of like jiggling effect, and there's not like a, it's not like a flat pad to press against. So you know, literally the grip will sit kind of on this side of the lifeline for me, in this really soft part of my hand, not so much in the bony part. It's in the soft mushy part. So another factor with the grip is it's going to help you hold a lot steadier on target. Pretty common with the kind of newer archers that I get is how do you make the pin stop? How do you make it slow down? And quite honestly, I don't make it stop. You just kind of accept the movement. But how you grip, this is the interface with the ball. So how you grip the ball will have a lot of influence in how that pin wants to move. And it's going to be kind of counterintuitive, but the less conscious or the less physical control that you put into the grip, probably the better. The least amount of muscle that, or influence that you can put on the grip is going to help you hold that pin a little steadier. It's almost like just letting it go, but a lot of it has to do with tension in your hand. So I explained a little earlier, like if the bow draw weight's a little heavy, or you're afraid of the bow firing, a lot of beginners will grip the bow very tight, and that tension in the hand will cause a little vibration and jiggle. Yeah, even with myself, sometimes, you know, when it gets really windy or something, I might be pressing with my front fingers a little harder and not even know I'm doing it, and like just because I think the wind's coming, and it'll start, just the pin will vibrate a lot faster. I'll try to make a clip of what that looks like. I don't know if it's gonna come out, but we'll see if it goes. Okay, to demonstrate what I'm talking about, this is a very soft grip on the front. You can see the pin just kind of moves around, but if I were to grip a lot tighter, this is what would happen. You kind of get that faster vibration. Hopefully that shows up. So hopefully that clip shows up pretty good, that you can see when I'm a little bit softer on the hands, the pin will have like a slower velocity, not so fast. As I tighten up the hand and you get tense, it'll have a very jiggly movement, and it might not look like much on the camera up close, but you know, when you start shooting further and things start moving around and stuff, it can really mess up with your execution, make you want to freeze on target and things like that. So the grip, you know, being that interface to the bow, can have such a huge impact on how the pin moves and also how you mentally execute your shot. Okay, so the next step is how to establish that grip, and how you set up is everything with the grip. So what I'm going to explain here, got an arrow knob, kind of simulating that we're about to take a shot. So what we do is you take your release, and you want to get in the habit of setting your stance, but letting the release kind of take the tension off of you holding the bow. Like if you're holding the bow and you're trying to get a grip, it's going to be very difficult. If you can just have the release, get the tension off of the bow, and then now you can place your hand in. Pretty much it'll just go right up to the grip, all the way up the grip, and then I'll lay my hand like leaning on a door or leaning on a wall, so to speak, down on the grip. And basically all I'm looking for is even pressure from the top to the bottom of the grip, so kind of a laid flat. Because if you don't make even pressure and you kind of hold a little high wrist or a little low wrist like this, you'll see your as you begin to build tension on the bow, at least with me, if I do that, typically as I pull on the bow, you either want to rise up or fall down, kind of like it's a pivoting point. But if you lay good even pressure down, as you begin to build tension back, it'll kind of just pull straight back in, and then slow down the pin until your shot fires. Okay, so the next step is the front positioning of your hand, the angle. So I said in that clip how to just get up to the top of the grip and lay the hand even pressure down on the grip, but I didn't talk about this angle, because you can do this and, you know, get all wiggity whack like that, or you can go like this and be way out here. So how do you figure out this angle? And it's just been my experience that with some of the guys struggling with this, that finding a consistent angle of how it sits in there has been kind of the limiting factor to their left and right misses and their tuning issues and all of that. So we kind of stumbled on this with my wife. How do I figure out what angle to put it at, because there's like no indicator, right? At least when you're going up you can stop, when you're going down you got even pressure, you have some you know some sensory feedback of where that is. But with angle you can be anywhere, right? Other than feeling that you don't cross the lifeline, that's one thing. How do we establish a pretty good angle? So we came up with this pretty cool thing, and I noticed that I never really use it, but now that I'm thinking about it, I notice it on my Hoyt bow here. It has a little bit of a groove on the front grip here, so you can set your angle. Pretty much I like to use these two fingers just laying on my grip, and the tension that you're gonna look for is as if you're holding an egg. Now, you can hold an egg pretty tight before it cracks, but an egg is about the best analogy I can think of. But basically you can see where these two fingers would land on the bow. Now if you can consistently put that there all the time as you go up, lean on the grip and then place your fingers lightly on the bow, if it's sitting in the same place all the time, you'll have the same angle. And in my case, if you look real close, it's there. So my top finger is about here on the grip, and then my second finger, the middle finger, is about here on the other side of the ridge, and I can literally feel those two things touch, and I got the very consistent angle that I'm looking for. With my wife, it worked out with her. You know, her bow was flat on the front, there wasn't anything there, but she could tell with her middle finger whether she was on this side or on this side of the grip. She could feel that. And with her it was more kind of in the middle, so she would set her grip and then put her middle finger, just lay it on the middle there, and it would establish that angle. And after she did that, string never hit her arm anymore, and her groups, her left and right misses, just really tightened up because you're not having that influence, left and right influence or torque on the bow. So that was super cool to find. So yeah, literally those front fingers, how you index them can help you out. Maybe even if you get real consistent about it, you can get like some kind of epoxy or glue, or you can, you know, stick something on the front of the riser where you put your fingers and get that super consistency. So guys, that wraps it up on the grip. A little bit of high level and maybe into the nitty gritty here and there, but just to reiterate again, the number one thing is just consistency. If you can consistently get the grip, you can get consistent arrows downrange. Doesn't matter if you're doing it right or wrong, over the lifeline, outside of lifeline, whatever, none of that matters as long as you can consistently do it. Just hopefully some of the tips I showed you will help you do it a little more consistency and improve your groups downrange. And you know, even for the advanced guys like myself, sometimes the tension in the front hand, those are things I have to look out for when I get tense, or when I'm in a pressure situation in a competition, or maybe even hunting sometimes. If you can find those little things that you know, make your bow not hold so steady, or you get a little bit jittery here and there, it's usually having a lot to do with where we interface with the bow, the front grip being one of them. So soften that front grip. We can talk about the release hand in another video, softening the release hand, but hey, that's grip. Good luck guys, hopefully it helps you guys out, and see you on the next one. Aloha.